the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
We need to understand this topic as Catholics. It's not just that the Catholic Church has said surrogacy is a no-go. Why? I'm going to give you a big picture view, and then I want to walk through the nitty-gritty. The big picture view starts with the fact that surrogacy involves in vitro fertilization, and the Church is opposed to both. In vitro fertilization includes normally the selective reduction, I'm putting quotation marks up, of babies in the process, because multiple babies are created and multiple babies are often aborted or frozen or left to die. All these things that happen that lead to moral conundrums because we have commodified baby making. We've monetized baby making. We've made it contractual. And now we can just grab a baby if you have enough money to go for it. And going for it isn't what it used to be to make a baby anymore. This is the commodification of the human person. When someone who has an environment in which a baby naturally wasn't, let's say, implanting, being conceived, for whatever reason, it wasn't working in that woman's body, I think it's pretty logical to additionally say, why would we then try to force a baby within the confines of that body? Or take a baby and put it in a different person's body that's genetically unrelated. We know, and I'll touch on this a little more later, that when we do this, success rate goes down. We're being truly negligible with life, engaging in experiment, and many babies die along the process. I don't have to tell you. All you have to do is look on social media, from Instagram to YouTube, all these people chronicling what are heartbreaking stories of infertility, turned to IVF and surrogacy and gestational carrier stories. And now they share as, okay, we retrieved the eggs. We have taken the sperm. We have started all these different steps. And they're saying how many babies are surviving along the way, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, after implantation. And these babies... And they're celebrating, okay, we have 5 left. Okay, we have 10 left. Okay, we have 1 left. Do you realize how many have died along the way? And although that may not always include the, quote, selective reduction, which is abortion to kill babies, we're being negligible with human life. As if it's my same attempt at putting a plant within my house and some plants not working and some plants dying one after another, after another, after another. We're not growing plants. We're conceiving humans. We're welcoming human beings into this world. But what are we doing with them? And why are we trying to force it to happen? You can try to force a plant to work in a particular place in your house and it might not work. But we're talking about babies here. And so when it's fascinating because Meghan Trainor, and I'll walk through more of the data and information here, Meghan Trainor is actually receiving backlash, which is fascinating because surrogacy is not only normal in the pop culture world of celebrity and influencers, it's becoming more and more regular in the true crisis and heartbreak of infertility. So many women, family members, friends of mine, I see it. I'm with them in it. But I respect so many who recognize IVF and surrogacy is never the answer because of how harmful it is for the woman harvesting her eggs, for the woman who's selected as a gestational carrier, for the baby. And they're respecting the no of the church, that this is not a way, as Meghan Trainor said, to beautifully grow your family. And we've got to be willing to talk about that. And let me put a little point here in the conversation. That does not mean that I say something is wrong with Meghan Trainor's baby or anyone else who has been conceived through IVF and surrogacy. We celebrate all human life, but it's okay to say the way of getting there isn't kosher. That the church actually says there are problems with the means to the end. You see, the church has always taught, and you look at the work of St. Thomas Aquinas, whose feast day we celebrated earlier this week, he helps in guiding and explaining what the church teaches. And the only proper attitude to have toward another human person is love. and that a person is an end in and of themselves, never a means to get something. And when we go through IVF, when we go through surrogacy, we're making all these babies in their lives that die along the way, or whose immune systems and hearts and bodily conditions we compromise because of how we've conceived them. We have made that baby a means to an end, and we've compromised their health and in many respects their lives, as many babies die or are selectively reduced through abortion when more are produced than you want, or are held in this world of a frozen world. We're freezing human beings. I'm sorry, but why? Why are we even at the point where we're talking about what to do with frozen babies? Pope St. John Paul II and the church has said, we're already at a point that has gone so far down. This is so wrong. We don't even have a good solution for how to navigate this because we're literally freezing people. Just think about that for a moment. So what's fascinating is that left and right, liberal, conservative alike, are actually pushing back against Meghan Trainor right now. In the comments and response, yes, there are a lot of people who are celebrating life, but people are starting to push back. And I think this is a good thing. This is our time to talk about and question surrogacy, especially as infertility is only on the rise. So let's start first with the fact that Meghan Trainor claims that her doctor said that this is, quote, the safest option for her to grow her family. That is, hiring a surrogate and having a child in this way. Let's talk a little bit about some of the risks for the gestational carrier, because you're telling me that the risk is acceptable for the surrogate, who actually is at high risk, by the way. It's acceptable for her, and maybe we claim it's acceptable because she's chosen to do this for financial gain, which, by the way, vast majority of surrogates are not doing it out of free will, just saying, or altruism. Some are, absolutely, but it's not always the case. Surrogacy has allowed for the abuse of countless women. So you're saying that it's not safe for you, but it's okay to engage in what is not a natural process in the way we are trying to force all the puzzle pieces together to bring about a new life in a gestational carrier. Okay, talk about the risks of the gestational carrier. That is the woman who carries the baby. First of all, before she even starts carrying the baby, she has to undergo multiple rounds of a powerful fertility drug, including Lupron and Synarel, to suppress her menstrual cycle so that her body synchronizes with the woman who is providing the egg. See, Lupron is actually classified as a category X during pregnancy. That is a no-go, meaning it would never be used by pregnant women due to the risk of birth defects. So already we're starting out the slate of this woman who is a gestational carrier with drugs in her body that are a big no-go for pregnant women. But it's okay because you commissioned it and you really want a baby. No. It's not okay just because we consent. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because we can hack the system doesn't make it right. This is a huge medical malpractice that has been allowed to be a free-for-all, in particular of all countries in the United States. We are the wild, wild west when it comes to third-party reproductive technologies of doing anything with no regulation in the United States. Most other countries have far stricter rules that are preventing this because there is a greater level of respect for the human person and the baby. Now, both of these medications carry significant side effects, such as hormonal disruption for the woman, mood changes, headaches, bone loss. We're talking about osteoporosis and osteopenia, and long-term permanent reproductive complications. You see, surrogacy pregnancies have a higher complication rate than naturally conceived pregnancies. We're taking something that is not a natural process for that woman, because all of the pieces for the puzzle to create new human life, or the process didn't happen in her body with her genetic makeup. Jennifer Lahl has done immense research on this at the Center for Bioethics and Culture. She did a great study. I'll link to that study. I'm going to make sure that my producer adds this to the links. She talks about some of the more likely experiences that the surrogate experiences. high blood pressure, hemorrhage, preterm labor, postpartum depression, and postpartum hypertension. Also, the C-section rates are nearly triple. And can we go back to remembering that C-sections aren't good for women, even though doctors have programs in which they want to schedule births, schedule C-sections so that they can get out? And that is a whole nother topic in and of itself. We talked about it a little bit before, but there's huge pressure for women to have C-sections. Some need them. It can be life-saving care for mom and baby. But it is a surgery that is not good at the end of the day to be a normative surgery for women. Now, many women later develop severe chronic health conditions after those C-sections that they're experiencing at triple the rate as surrogates. An American Society for Reproductive Medicine study showed that even women who'd previously had healthy, uncomplicated pregnancies, their own pregnancies, face worse outcomes when they signed up to be a surrogate, a gestational carrier. Those outcomes with babies that weren't their natural own labor, birth, delivery, all of that, and their own genetic makeup, included preterm birth, low birth weight, gestational hypertension, placenta previa, gestational diabetes, and higher C-section rates. You see, many surrogates describe flying blind, entering these contracts without a full understanding of the known and unknown risks. We were just talking medically. We've not even gotten into the psychology. Imagine for a woman who carries a baby for 9 months, the impact of being completely detached from that baby. Baby is meant to be on mom to help regulate her hormones for months, for the next couple of years. The grief in surrendering a child that they carried, even when contractually agreed to, is so damaging for mom and for baby. And even again, if they're contractually agreeing to this, they say they were flying blind, or they felt that there was some reason financially that they had to do this thing of being a surrogate that combines finances and for some altruism because they recognize we're in a fertility crisis. But surrogacy isn't the answer.
That was the best of the week on Relevant Radio. The best way to listen to the best of the week is on the Relevant Radio app, free and always free. Download and share the #1 free Catholic app today in the App Store.